Hello everybody and welcome to Monday's edition of the Pritchard Cycling News Show. It is Monday. What a weekend of racing we have had. Classics season has started. The sun was shining in the UK. A lot of cyclists was out. There was a little bit of optimism in the air, I'm not going to lie. It felt pretty good. It felt bloody brilliant actually. Anyway, make sure if you've not done already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with our videos. Without further ado, let's get into today's news. So first up in the news, let's check out this story here that was sent to me on Instagram a few weeks ago, but I forgot. Chris B, over the weekend, rode 1,000 kilometres around Centennial Park down in Australia to raise money for the Starlight Children's Foundation. What an absolute madman. 26 hours of riding. Chris, huge apologies for not featuring this earlier in the week. Well, last week. You sent me the message, I read it on Instagram, I just forgot all about it, so apologies for that. Listen you lot, link is down in the description if you want to check that out. If you want to donate to Chris's amazing feat for the amazing charity, then make sure you go and do that. Chris, again, sincere apologies, but congratulations. You are, sir, a bloody legend. Next up, proof that the esports scene has got a long way to go. Tim sent me this video recently from a Zwift race. Now, on first viewing it, I didn't even notice anything. I missed it all. Now, I need to watch it again and check out the position of said rider that's circled on the video. Do it! What's going on there? No wonder we're getting these results where we see a rider crossing the line and it looks like they've taken the victory, but lo and behold, no, they're 20 places back down the road. So what the hell is going on? How is Zwift and the servers making such a hash of this? Why is it so wrong? Like, at one point it was 22nd. So that meant at some point in that little split second then, 22 avatars seem to have overtaken them without actually overtaking. I don't know. Oh, it's so infuriating. Leave your comments down below. Not the first time this has happened. Definitely not the last time this has happened. But, I mean, normally we see first and second probably changing positions. But look at the amount of times that changed. And who the hell was... what the hell was going on? Anyway, time for some real racing news as the classic season got underway. Woo! Now, before we head to Europe, don't forget the UAE Tour finished up on Saturday. Today, Pogačar, the 2020 Tour de France champion, took the overall victory ahead of Adam Yates, which was a reverse of the roles from the 2020 edition. And with the final two stages being pan flat, GC was pretty much all sewn up by stage 5. Not even the crosswinds would catch out the GC contenders. Stage 6 was won easily by Sam Bennett, but stage 7, it was Caleb Ewan who took the victory ahead of said Deceuninck Quickstep rider Sam Bennett. Now, whilst some of the World Tour were enjoying the sun in the UAE, the other half of them were lining up for the first classic of the season, Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. The women's race, which was actually the first pro race of the women's season so far, was an absolute smash fest for the final 20 kilometres. Just riders everywhere, groups everywhere. Bloody love this kind of racing. But the 14k to go mark on the Bosberg, the current world champion Anna van der Breggen just wound up the pace with a strong, solid attack. She didn't really get out of the saddle and accelerate. It was just a slow burner that caught everybody off guard. She would go on for a solo victory. Emma Norsgaard took the bunch sprint in second place. Now in the men's race, there was a small group of riders that went off in the day's breakaway with a few splinter groups trying to close it down. Check this little cheeky move here of some of the riders heading into Molenbeek. Illegal? I think so. Heading up there though, it was a decisive move from the peloton with some big hitters in it. Trentin went off the front and it had the likes of Greg Van Avermaet, Davide Ballerini, Julien Alaphilippe and Sepp Van Mark. They were all in there. And with around 44k to go, 2 riders came out of the peloton to join the front group, and one of those being Tom Pidcock, and he actually made the front selection group. Now these riders got almost 40 seconds on the peloton before Alaphilippe decided to do what Alaphilippe does best and go on a solo attack. But it'd all be for naught as the peloton swept that whole group up and it will come down to a bunchie. And that bunchie was won by none other than Davide Ballerini. Second place though, massive shout out to FDJ's Jake Stewart. What a cracking result for him. Now, Sunday was obviously Kuurne, Brussels, Kuurne. There was a small group of riders that went up the road, 6 to 5, 6, 7. I can't quite remember exactly how many riders got into that breakaway. But at the 80-kilometre mark, domestique Mathieu van der Poel, he was clearly feeling bored and wanted to do, well, I don't know what he wanted to do, but he shook the race up. But after about 20 kilometres of chasing, he managed to close the gap between the peloton and that breakaway, and that stuck out for the rest of the race. A couple of those riders from the initial breakaway dropped off towards the end, but coming into the last 2.5 kilometres to go, Mathieu van der Poel and that small group at the front still had a slight lead over the chasing pack. And it wasn't until about 1.5 kilometres to go that they would actually catch them, and again, came down to a bunch sprint. Guess who was there to take the victory? Ex-world champion Mads Pedersen. And then look, in third place, Tom Pidcock sprinting it with the best of the Classics riders. Boy's got talent. There's no doubt about it. Oh, I love it. Bloody love Classics. Cracking result from Jake Stewart. Cracking result from Tom Pidcock. Cracking sprint from Mads Pedersen. And you've got to hand it to Jasper Stuyven for leading him out. He did an amazing job in leading him out. Again, guy's clearly capable of winning that race on his own, but he worked for the betterment of the team to secure the victory for Mads Pedersen, who made it look, I don't want to say easy, but look pretty bloody easy. What was your highlight of this weekend's racing? Was it the UAE Tour? Was it Kuurne, Brussels, Kuurne, or the men's or the women's Omloop Het Nieuwsblad? Leave your comments down below and let me know your top moment from this weekend's racing. Let's talk politics. No, I'm joking. Well, kind of politics. Let's get on to the next story, and I look forward to some of the comments in it. Next up, let's talk about this story we spoke about a few months ago about Quinn, I'm not racist, but Simmons, as he spoke out over the weekend about his suspension for diverse and incendiary comments after using a black hand emoji in a tweet. Now, speaking with the press, he says that he didn't feel he deserved the suspension, feeling that it was a sacrifice for both him and the team in last year's late season Classics races. Now, he went on to say that this isn't a racial issue. The internet made it a racial issue. This was a conversation between me and a white journalist, so there was no race involved, apart from the black hand. The discussion wasn't about race for me, and so for it to have become a racial issue, I'm confused by that. I can see people not liking Trump, but to make it an issue of race, that wasn't part of the discussion. It is when you use his work name. Anyway, not political. It was a conversation between two white people and completely irrelevant. Now, last time I mentioned politics, I had a few knobheads in the comments, so today I'm not saying anything. Just leave your comments down below. What do you think on this? A lot of people on Twitter said that he shouldn't have just been suspended, he should have been fired, that they're never going to buy a bike from Trek again, they're never going to buy coffee from Segafredo again. It was, again, are people blowing this out of proportion, or is this justified? Was this a genuine mistake from a young, naive person who just so happens to align his political support with Trump, or was he genuinely being racist? We spoke about it when it actually happened, and I'd like to get to know your thoughts now. Do you think he should have just not said anything over the weekend and just been like, it's just not worth it? It's just bloody not worth it. But anyway, leave your comments down below. Quinn Simmons, do it. All right, and then finally in this show, my job here is done. It's over to Laura from the Peloton Brief with another question from a viewer about buttering coffee. Take it away, Laura.
So this week I've had a question from somebody who on Instagram's name is Wake Up to Muff, although I can tell you that goes back to him. I know this guy, and he spent many years actually doing a wonderful thing where he would deliver muffins to people for free on Sunday mornings as a way to get his training in. So despite the somewhat offensive name, hey Tibbs. So he wants to know, are pros still doing or ever did that gross trend from 2014 of putting butter in their coffee? Well, I can tell you some still do. And I've actually asked about the science of it and why anybody would do that. And apparently it has something to do with how a fat covers the caffeine molecule and basically slows down the release of it. So if you drink a cup of coffee, whether it's with milk, because milk is only 4% fat even as a whole milk, or black, where basically you get this huge caffeine spike and then it drops off. So when you put butter in the coffee, basically the butter, you have to stir it a whole bunch really fast, get it all sort of emulsified in there. The coffee has to be really hot. And the butter sort of clings to the caffeine molecules, making it slow release, meaning that you get a better sort of like level gradient. So when you're looking at long periods of endurance athletics, this is something that can be very useful because then you're not looking at having a peak and a severe drop, but a more even distribution. So Tibbs, I hope that helps you. I know it is gross. It seems really gross to me too. I've tasted it. Not good, but I can't even tell you how weird some of the food habits are. I mean, I think over the summer on this show, I did divulge to Chris that Tony Martin eats somewhere between 6 and 12 eggs for breakfast at mornings when he's in a race, which to me is insane. Wouldn't want to be his roommate, to be fair, after that. There's some other weird ones. I've never seen, I mean, the Scandinavians, granted, they are doing so much exercise, but I have never seen people eat so much candy as Scandinavians. And it's kind of overlooked. It's sort of just an accepted thing. Scandinavians, pick and mix. Nobody cares. It's sugar. You have some teams that in the past have done things, have decided to go gluten-free. What else? Oh, most Italian bike racers, and I shouldn't say all, and I'm sure that somebody will come back and say, oh, this is just a thing, but for some reason, they seem to think that the inside of white bread is bad. So they'll like take a baguette and they'll empty out all the white stuff and they'll make their sandwich with just the crusty part. I don't know why. Somebody come back to me if they can figure out why the hell they do that.
I never knew that. So Laura, thanks. If you've got any questions, make sure you follow the link down in the description to the Peloton Brief on Instagram. Send Laura a message. Make them wild, make them wacky, make them about the professional Peloton, and she'll do her best to answer those on the show next week. And that's it for today. Let's make sure we hit that like button, make sure we hit that notification bell, let's make sure we hit that subscription button. If you've disliked the video for whatever reason, hit that dislike button and leave your comments down below. Let us know. Did you enjoy the racing over the weekend? Do you hate these videos? Do I care? I do really. I care so much. I care too much, if anything. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you on the next one. Beijo.